which is coming right now.
2 minutes over?
Yes.
That's what they get for not asking me any questions about Notre Dame.
Coach is here. We'll start right away here with Dan Tortora.
Coach, I just wanted to, with Marcus Paul's passing, the Dallas Cowboys had an MP on their helmet. I was wondering if Syracuse was going to do anything of that sort, put a decal on the helmet moving forward. If you knew Marcus, or anything you can say about his passing or what he meant to the program.
Well, I think the biggest thing is I'm not sure if we're going to do something like that. That would be with John Wildhack, and we would be in favor of doing anything that he wanted. I've known a lot about him. I think I think it's a sad thing that happened, and I just wish the best for him, for his family, and prayers go out to him and his family. That's to go to work and then not come home is an amazing thing, and I just don't have a lot to say about it. It's a tough deal.
Thank you, Dino. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Next, we'll go to Nico Tamurian.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate your time as always. Can this game with Notre Dame on Saturday almost be like a de facto bowl game, last game of the season, who you're playing, where you're playing? Can it almost feel like a bowl game for you guys?
I don't want to put it there, but I will say this, you're getting an opportunity to play at Notre Dame and touchdown Jesus in the whole 9 yards. And not only do you get to play, but you get to play like on their TV station. And, it's a big deal. I've played them a bunch of times. I only had the opportunity of beating them one time. And that's what a lot of different UCLA, Texas A&M, Purdue, a lot of different teams. This is one of the traditional programs in college football. They have an unbelievable history, and they're having a fantastic year, and they're leading the ACC right now, and they're at the top. We know where we're at, and we get to lace them up one more time. So if you enjoy playing, this is what games are for. You get an opportunity to do something that a lot of people don't think you can do.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Nico. Next, we'll go to Stephen Bailey.
Hey, Dino, you were talking about the 3-3-5 after the NC State game. I think something along the lines of you being cautiously optimistic about it. I wanted to ask specifically about the young linebackers. I think we all kind of knew a little bit about what Mikel could do because we saw him last year. But to have so many young guys mixing in, Stephon and Marlowe both played a ton last weekend. What have you seen from that group? And, what in particular gives you optimism that those guys can really be good ACC players?
You look at the linebackers. I think the linebackers probably have the corners are extremely talented. The back end's going to be good, but the linebackers, I think, have an opportunity to be special. Now, they're not quite all there yet, but when you look at that group run around physically, that a lot of those guys look like the way NFL linebackers need to look, and they're sharp cats. They're all juniors to freshmen, if you count Terrell. And they're going to be around here for a long period of time. Just a little bit of a sidebar, Stephen. The one thing that used to get me was in our old defense, seniors would play and the seniors would graduate. And then the next year would come and the seniors would play and the seniors would graduate. And so we're always replacing these guys. And I just wanted to have an opportunity to get young there. And we are. Now we are young, and I think we're talented. And hopefully, we get in a situation where these guys are going to be around for a while and be in the middle of our defense for a while. And I think that is the reason why I'm quietly optimistic, is that there's 4 of those guys out there, and we got an opportunity to be really good in the middle of our defense for a long period of time if they can flip the switch and get going.
Just to follow up quickly, I think it's hard for maybe me personally to see exactly where those incremental improvements come during the year. Tackling has been obvious to me, but when you kind of look at the overall course of the year, where have you seen them getting better?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we're doing more, and you guys, people don't notice we're doing more of the defense. They're executing more of the defense correctly. Now, you can go to say third down. Well, heck, it's third and this, and they get a first down. It's third and that, and they get a first down. Yeah, they do. It normally has to do with linebacker drops, okay, a lack of pressure, what you're going to say, obvious, or coverage issues. But when you watch the people who are outside of the lack of rush, which is upperclassmen in some situations, but those other people are going to get better at those two things. And you start looking at the tackle for losses and how many sacks that we're getting. they're going to get better. And right now they're still thinking. When they get to the point where they're not thinking, they're just reacting. Now you really got something.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Next, we'll go to Mark Larson.
Hey, good morning, Coach. You've said it's been a different season, asterisk season, difficult injuries, opt-outs, everything you've gone through, the losses, none tougher than last week. As you approach the final game, how much relief is there that you're going to be able to put 2020 season behind you?
You know, I guess some people would look at it like that. My win-loss record, yeah, that's gonna be wow, boy. But I look at the positives. I really do, Mark. I think we're going through this for a reason, and we're gonna turn a negative into a positive. And the thing that I want is just remember when the positive happened, remember this negative, so you can balance out the teeter-totter and feel a lot better about some of the stuff that's been going on here. But again, if these guys hang around, and academically they should do nothing but be better. My thing is they can't stay the same, and we want to continue to give them opportunities, continue to stretch them, continue to make them grow faster than maybe they want to, so that they can be better sooner than they expect to.
And I want to follow up real quick with a positive. Last week, the week after getting shut out, 20-0, you come back and your kids, have a chance to beat NC State after being double-digit underdogs. So what does that tell you about the players on your team?
They're listening. They're not just hearing us, they're listening. And I appreciate that. Everybody that's in this room in a pandemic year, my goodness gracious, I appreciate it. You look at what's going on, National Football League, and even college games, and the effort they've put forth, the things that they're doing off the football field that has given us an opportunity to line up and play every single game. It's going to pay off. I mean, that's not wishful thinking. The analytics says it's going to pay off. If you're on the field, you're going to get better as long as you stay on the field. So I'm looking forward to another opportunity to be on the field in 2020 so that it can pay off in 2021.
Thank you, Dino.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Next, we'll go to Anthony Debundo.
Hey, Dino. Thanks for taking the time. In 4 of the last 5 years, your quarterback one has not finished the season due to injury. And I know Clayton was playing through injuries, and now Jacoby and Morgan has gotten injured, and Rex missed a game. How concerned are you about your offense's ability to protect quarterbacks? And what do you think the number one issue is there?
Well, I think back to the very first time we started this offense in 2012 with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he played the entire season. And then we went to 2013, and he played the entire season. And we went to 2014, and I remember our young quarterback, and we're playing our first game, and he was in a situation where he wanted to scramble, and I can still remember Matt Johnson. I'm screaming at him, go down, go down, go down. And he kept fighting, and he got hurt, and he was out the entire year. It was the first half of the first game, and he had to sit the entire 2014 year. We played with another quarterback, and he came back in 2015, and we won the championship. And then I believe we came here in 2016. A lot of times, okay, we want to make sure we're putting our quarterbacks in a situation where they can protect themselves. Now, they've got to make sure that they're doing everything that they can to make sure they stay out there. We have a lot of offense. It's an NFL-style offense, and most NFL teams win and lose with their starting quarterbacks, and we prepare them that way. But the key to being successful in college football is making sure that whoever your number one quarterback is, he starts and finishes the season. So we're doing everything in our power to make that happen.
Thanks, Dino.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Next, we'll go to Brent Axe.
Morning, Coach. Kind of on that same front, how difficult is it to kind of evaluate your offense this year because there were some inconsistencies at quarterback and offensive line and some key positions?
I think it's more, this year is a more evaluation of personnel. And we want to get a fantastic look at our personnel all the way across the board, offense, defense, and special teams. And then take this, the last part of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 to regroup, to refocus, to not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but we need to come back out with obviously a much more condensed and concentrated package of what we want to do and how we want to do it.
And a quick follow-up on that. You mentioned Saturday, specifically to the running game, that NC State ran a front that made it difficult to run the football. Can you just kind of go over what you saw there from NC State? And do you think you'll have a similar difficulty against Notre Dame from what you've seen from them so far?
Absolutely. No one's ran the ball against Notre Dame. I believe they held Louisville for less than 100. If you go back to the rushing totals, I think they're in the top 5 in the country. So no one has ran the ball against them, and now we're coming up. So when you talk about the front that NC State was running, it wasn't necessarily the front, because when you say front, people think about a 3-man front, a 4-man front, or whether you're dropping a 5-man front. It's really the box that was the difficulties. They were in 8-man boxes, which strength is stopping the run, which weakness is throwing the ball to the outside receivers. So if you're taking what the defense gives you, it puts you in those situations where you're going to throw the ball a lot more, but you have to be efficient in what you're throwing, and you have to make catches and make plays.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brent. Next, we'll go to John Kikis.
Hey, Coach. What's the key to stopping the Notre Dame offense?
Oh, I would probably say not good.
Now, what is there a key though that you need to focus on?
Say it again, please.
Is there a key that you need to focus on with the quarterback?
There's no doubt that the quarterback is having an amazing year, and I think he's an amazing player, and I think he's changed the offense. The way he keeps plays alive is amazing. But the one thing, I've been playing Notre Dame since the 90s. And the one thing when you play the University of Notre Dame, you have to deal with their offensive line. Their offensive line is an international, normally religious line that comes from all over the country. And they normally all look the same, and their knee braces are really, really long because they're really, really tall and wide. And they line up next to each other, and they look like a bunch of redwood trees blocking out the sun. They're big. They're physical. Their tight ends are normally the exact same way, which makes their quarterbacks hard to get to, and their running backs normally get a lot of head of steam going before somebody gets a chance to touch them in the backfield. So Notre Dame, there's no doubt the quarterback is playing outstanding. I have total respect for that young man, but their offensive line is really, really, along with their tight end, is really, really outstanding.
And have you decided on a quarterback for Saturday?
No, we're still waiting to hear what's going to happen with obviously Jacobian, and we got Rex, and then we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next, go to Josh St. Croix.
Hey, Coach. Just want to ask you a two-parter about Chris Elmore. Saw him playing fullback on Saturday. Just kind of wondering what went into that decision to move him back to that fullback spot. And then secondly, if you could just speak to the value that a guy like Chris Elmore has, in a season like 2020 where, he's got experience playing all these different positions for you.
First of all, Chris Elmore is so unselfish. We would not have been able to finish the season without him. There would have been 11 no contests without Chris. And I can't thank him enough for the unselfish act he did in keeping us afloat and keeping us running through these games. Because even though the no contest might have helped my 1-loss record overall when I retire someday, hopefully, but from a team standpoint, we needed to play these games. We needed the growth. Okay, we needed the knowledge that these games are going to bring to us in the future. And he's one of the main reasons, along with some other guys, some other seniors, on the reason why we were able to pull this off. Now, in the last 2 games, it's time to get Chris back to where he's going to have an opportunity to maybe get a chance to play in the league. And we see him as a big fullback, blocking tight end type guy in the National Football League if he's going to get an opportunity. And we wanted to get back to that. And when we get all our offensive linemen back, that's the position that he'll be playing next year.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next, we go to Nate Mink.
I wanted to ask you about actually a couple guys who haven't been in the room throughout the season, Jarvin and Abdul. Just kind of curious how much contact you've been able to maintain with those guys, and if you expect them to return in January.
The contact's been very limited because I'm more focused on what's going on with the team. I've had conversations with both of those guys on their last days here when they wanted to opt out. And after those conversations, my focus needs to be on who's in the room and not who's outside the room. But I hear from other guys and I hear from other coaches that they're doing really good, and they've been safe which I'm really excited about.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we'll go to Brad Klein.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time. Just to circle back to Notre Dame for a second, curious about your thoughts of having them in the ACC and how you'd feel about them staying post-pandemic.
I think that it'd be a heck of a deal if they stayed. And being up north, I'd imagine they'd be on our side of the conference, which would be cool. But that's way above my pay grade. And last time I checked, Notre Dame's got a really good gig going on all by themselves. So I'm not sure they really need another conference. But I know how the ACC feels about them, and I know they would love to have them as a member. But that's something that Notre Dame and the higher ups in the ACC have to decide.
Just to follow up on that, it sounds a little odd to ask, but would it be a recruiting advantage or disadvantage?
I don't know. They've had such a national image, being by themselves that they could go anywhere. But I've been recruiting in the ACC. I feel like we can go anywhere to recruit. I'm not sure. Notre Dame is obviously it's a little bit different with its history. I would imagine that they can go into any place and everybody's going to always know, who they are and what they stand for. So I'd probably be a wash, I guess would be the best way to put the answer.
Thanks a lot. Stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we go to Danny Emmerman.
Hey, Dino. He hasn't had as many opportunities this year, but Andre Smith is now he's 3 field goals away from the all-time program record. For a guy who was once a walk-on, I guess how impressed have you been with him over the years, and do you have any favorite stories of him?
Favorite story of him is meeting his mom. When he went the night he went to meet to get the Lugosa Award, and meeting his mom, and she's a proud lady from the motherland, and just you could see how loving yet how strict she is, and how she says something, it's going to happen. And to see Andre with her, and to kind of see him being very respectful but still minding his place, it was kind of cute. I'm not allowed. I don't know how head coaches are allowed to say the word cute during a press conference, but it was kind of cute, and I kind of teased him about it a little bit. But she's an amazing lady, and Andre's an amazing guy. He came here as a walk-on, and I can still remember when a couple of coaches said, "Hey, I said I think I'm gonna give. I think not give. Andre's earned a scholarship. I'm gonna give him a scholarship." And they were like, "Well, we can wait and do that at the end of the semester." I said, "No." Mm-mm. I said, the way this guy is kicking, he's going to win some kind of award, and I'm not going to be the head coach standing next to him, and the guy doesn't have a scholarship. He's good enough. We're giving him a scholarship right now. And Lord and behold, sure enough, he wins the award at the end of the year, which kind of gives me good intuition on giving that thing to him early. But Andre's cool. The guys, everybody loves Andre. I mean, I don't think there's one guy that thinks Andre's a bad guy, and he's extremely, extremely unselfish. And I know it's one of these days he's going to leave us, and he better find his replacement because we're going to really miss him.
Just to follow up on that real quick, have you ever had any conversations with Andre about maybe taking over kickoff duties? I know that's something he hasn't really done for you.
He does that stuff in practice. We have him doing all kinds of stuff in practice. But what we like to do is when we have enough kickers, is spread it around to keep everybody involved, the whole La Familia Ohana. So him kicking off's not a big deal. I still remember, I want to say last year when we lined up, I don't know, for like a 53 or 54-yard field goal, and everybody got mad that I ran Sterling Hoffrichter out there. And they're like, instead of running Andre out there, and he kicked it right through the thing and ran back. Andre didn't blink an eye. Andre and Sterling, all those guys get along, and I really do appreciate it because our kickers are not like everybody else's kickers. I mean, these guys, not only do they have the right attitude, but they're made of the right stuff. So I think we got a good group. We want to keep that tradition going on.
Thanks, Danny. And for our last question, we'll go to Adam Hillman from the Daily Orange.
Hey, Coach. So on Saturday, you talked about how you kind of were looking for more from Taj after that performance. After looking at the film and evaluating his performance, what can he take from Saturday, and how can he improve going forward?
Do you think I'm being unfair with Taj? Because I saw some article where somebody like, he's got 13 catches. He's got da-da-da-da-da-da. What else do you want out of him? It's one of the best performances we've ever seen. Do you think I'm being unfair with Taj?
I don't think that was my story, but
It wasn't. It wasn't. Watch this. If I'm not mistaken, we've had receivers catch 23 balls in a game. We've had receivers catch 21 balls in a game. Okay. And I see Taj as being better than all those receivers. And then someone's going to say, well, you need to throw him the ball. And I'm going to say, well, yeah, we need to throw it. He needs to get open and he needs to catch all of them. If you're going to catch that many balls in a game, you can't put one or two on the ground. So, like I said, I love those guys. Those guys are like my babies. We have very, very high expectation for the wide receiver core. And if you do not have that expectation or that drive within yourself, then you should not come here, because it's one of those positions where we expect great deal of effort, concentration, and performance.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Adam. That concludes today's press conference. Media reminder, we have a scheduled timing change tomorrow, so just get those RSVPs into me if you have not, but be aware that the player interviews are a little bit earlier tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Coach.